Um, it's important to follow Christ because without Christ, we truly be lost. Um, I guess the overarching thing is being lost and not really knowing you're lost. Some people seem to be confused, or some people seem like they're stuck in a rut. But when you're not following Christ, that is the feeling of being lost. And so when you do begin to follow Christ and, follow in his footsteps and try to become Christ-like, things like that, you come up out of the feeling of being lost. And I think that's one of the things I have experienced myself as being stuck in a rut or something like that, and ultimately coming to the feeling of feeling lost, not knowing what I want to do next, not knowing where I'm going, kind of feel like I'm going in circles, repeating the same mistakes that I thought I got over, and it just comes back to bite me even harder.
It was a lot of bumping my head, and it still is a lot of bumping my head, especially after graduating college. I'm super analytical and I like things done, I wouldn't say my way, but my way. And God always just, nope, closes that book. But he leads me the right way. I notice that every time I try to do things in my own way or out of my own strength, I'm exhausted, I'm stressed, I'm anxious. But when I choose to just listen to God and take that time and just wait, which I hate doing, waiting, it just goes smoother and I always end up blessed and God always comes through.
The decision to follow Christ was one that happened a little early, and I think there's kind of two parts for me. One was being in church. I grew up in the church, went to Sunday school, and grew up Baptist. And so the decision to actually get baptized and to follow Christ, give my life to Christ, happened around 11, 12 years old, when, in part, I wanted to be a part of a body that was doing things, and that in a church congregation that meant that you could take communion. To be quite honest, that was a part of my decision to follow Christ, but I knew it was bigger than that. I have this little saying it's called FOMO, which is the fear of missing out. And I think in part, I was missing out on things that were offered to the body of Christ and church members. And so I really kind of wanted to be a part of that. And I think that fear of missing out also turned into God has so much to offer as well. Christ has so much to offer as well. What am I missing out that I wouldn't get as a Christian? And so I gave my life to Christ at about 12 years old, and things didn't really change that much. Still was this little insecure girl who was kind of searching for her place in the world and amongst friends. I was also very quiet, very docile, kind of went with the flow, and just didn't necessarily like who I was because I didn't really know who I was. It wasn't until I got older and went into joined a different church where I really dove into the Word and really started chewing on the Word and meditating on the Word and studying it. That's where I found a lot of answers as to who God calls me to be and what God has for me.
My before was me being really insecure, not sure of who I was, distrusting, and just kind of mean and negative. But I've realized that with God, I'm just so reassured in myself. And that's not to say that I don't have times where I am feeling low. But with God, I just have this contentness and this sense of security that I just love. I love just living in that peace because growing up, I did not have that. Before Christ, I did not walk in peace in the same manner that I do now. But following Christ is just the easier route for me. Although it's not easy at times, but it still is the easier route for me.
I guess most of the time I was kind of straddling the fence. It was a point to where I said I was serving God or something like that, and I would still have my foot over here doing what I wanted to do, not knowing, like I said, still being lost, being kind of deceived or having the wool pulled over my eyes that I wasn't really following Christ, giving my all to Christ. It was just mostly fooling myself. And so kind of my mindset was with, well, if I go to church today, God he'll be all right with that. If I go to church today, that'll be cool. Or if I read my Bible today, that'll be cool. If I spend time with God today, but I go to, if I spend time today with God, then I don't go to church tomorrow, I'm cool. And kind of balance it out or stuff like that is that type of mindset when you try to make one seem better than the other, try to make up for the other side.
It was the assurance that I don't have to make every right decision. I don't have to have the assurance to fail. Let's be honest. In a world that tells you literally have to be on point for everything, you can't fail, you can't mess up, you must make A's. That sinks into you, and I think God gave me an assurance that, I got you. Even when you're in your sin, I still love you. So that gave me a sense of peace that, wow, I can move and freely and can operate in a place where I don't have to be on pins and needles and be scared of the decisions that I make because they're going to lead to failure.